Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has announced a sweeping reshuffle within the country's civil service, a bold and far-reaching shake-up that has introduced new faces, reassigned senior officials, and tightened the inner workings of his administration. The move, announced yesterday through Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet, Martin Reshuffle, comes as the President seeks to strengthen his team ahead of crucial policy roll-ups. It's a reshuffle that many analysts see as both a power consolidation and a strategic renewal designed to inject energy, loyalty, and technical expertise into key ministries. The announcement covered an extensive list of new permanent secretaries, deputy chief secretaries, and provincial secretaries for devolution, and at the top of that list are some of the most prominent names in Zimbabwe's civil service. In a decisive change at the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, Development Assistance expert Thomas Utate-Washi has been appointed permanent secretary. He replaces Mavis Sibanda, who has been moved to the Ministry of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development. Washi's appointment is expected to bring a data-driven approach to industrial development as Zimbabwe continues its efforts to revive manufacturing and attract investment. Over at the Ministry of Health and Child Care, President Mnangagwa has placed his trust in Aspect Monganitz, the former chief medical officer at Pararnieta Group of Hospitals. Monganitz replaces Jasper Chimizia, who has been reassigned. With his medical and administrative baccalaureate round, Monganitz is expected to focus on hospital reforms, health worker retention, and improved service delivery across Zimbabwe's struggling health system. In the world of arts and culture, Nicholas Moyo, the former executive director of the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe, has taken over the Ministry of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture. He replaces the Pozil Chitapo. Moyo's appointment has been well received by the creative community, who view him as a seasoned insider with deep understanding of Zimbabwe's cultural landscape. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education has a new permanent secretary, Moses Wyke, who takes over from Tumazane Babalo following her retirement earlier this year. Wyke's task is a tough one, tackling teacher shortages, reforming the curriculum, and restoring the integrity of the public school system. At the Ministry of Skills, Audit and Development, Rudu Chitiga, a former ambassador and senior peace and security advisor with On Women Zimbabwe, has been named permanent secretary. She previously worked on harmonizing salaries and conditions of service within the Office of the President and Cabinet. Her new role will center on evaluating national human capital and ensuring that Zimbabwe's workforce meets the demands of its modernization agenda. Environmental policy also gets a shake-up. Prosper Matandi, previously Chief Director for Environment, Climate, and Meteorological Services, has been promoted to permanent secretary for the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife. With the country facing growing climate pressures, Matandi's appointment is seen as a continuation of Zimbabwe's effort to align environmental management with sustainable economic growth. In the tourism sector, Professor Tekeruzo Munionijo, who served as Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Business Development at the University of Zimbabwe, has been appointed permanent secretary for the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality. His academic baccalaureate round could signal a shift toward evidence-based tourism policy and stronger partnerships with the private sector. The Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development, and Vocational Training also has a new boss, Solomon Langa. He previously oversaw public sector reforms and performance management within the President's office. Langa's appointment suggests a focus on youth skills, entrepreneurship, and employment programs, a critical area in a nation where youth unemployment remains high. At the Ministry of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs, Clive Mhambala, the former spokesperson for the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, steps into the role of permanent secretary. His task will be managing welfare programs for Liberation War veterans, a politically sensitive portfolio deeply tied to Zimbabwe's liberation legacies. In one of the more surprising moves, John Bashira, who had been serving at the Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, has been reassigned to the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works. His former role will now be filled by Albert Jerry, a respected academic and agriculture expert who has been promoted from director to permanent secretary. These two changes underscore the government's push for efficiency in land and local governance, two of Zimbabwe's most complex policy areas. Another key appointment is that of Vimbe Nyemba, former president of the Law Society of Zimbabwe, who becomes permanent secretary for the Ministry of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. She replaces Virginia Madhiza, who recently took up the powerful position of Attorney General. Nyemba's appointment has been praised as a strong signal of meritocracy and gender representation in government. Some key figures, however, have retained their posts. Gloria Magumbo remains at the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, a crucial position given Zimbabwe's ongoing electricity shortages. And Daviningi Mangwina also keeps his influential post at the Ministry of Information, Publicity, and Broadcasting Services, responsible for the government's communication strategy. And George Giovanmatenga stays on as permanent secretary for Finance, Economic Development, and Investment Promotion, a move meant to preserve stability in the nation's fiscal management and economic recovery efforts. At the provincial level, there are also notable shifts. Tafit Mugiti, the Harare Metropolitan Permanent Secretary, has been reassigned as Secretary for Presidential Affairs in the Office of the President and Cabinet. He will be replaced in Harare by Cosmas Chiringa, who previously served as Mutare District Development Coordinator. Political analysts say the reshuffle reflects Mnangagwa's desire to build a results-oriented administration and prepare for what many believe will be a crucial policy phase in his presidency. With economic reforms, infrastructure development, and social welfare improvements on the agenda, the president appears determined to have loyal, skilled technocrats steering the ministries. Critics, however, warn that reshuffles can also create instability, as newly appointed officials take time to settle in and understand ministry operations. There are also concerns that some appointments may reflect loyalty over merit, though the presence of several professional experts has largely muted such criticism. Still, for President Mnangagwa, the timing of this move is deliberate. By refreshing his government's administrative backbone now, he sends a clear signal that performance and alignment with his developmental vision will determine who stays and who goes. Observers also note that the retention of senior figures like Giovanmatenga and Magumbo suggests a desire for continuity in strategic portfolios such as finance, energy, and information sectors central to Zimbabwe's economic turnaround. The reshuffle comes amid renewed government focus on policy delivery, fiscal discipline, and service efficiency. It also coincides with a growing push to modernize Zimbabwe's civil service, ensuring ministries operate with clear performance targets and public accountability. Across Harare, reactions have been mixed, with praise for the inclusion of professionals like Professor Muninho and Rudu Chitiga, and questions about whether the reshuffle will translate into tangible improvements on the ground. But one thing is clear: this is one of the most significant overhauls of Zimbabwe's administrative leadership in recent years, touching almost every major policy area. For the new appointees, expectations are sky high. They are stepping into offices where delivery, discipline, and efficiency will be closely watched not only by the president but by a public that is increasingly demanding results. And for the old guard, the message could not be clearer. Under Mnangagwa's leadership, performance, alignment, and loyalty will decide your political future. This is more than a reshuffle, it's a reset. And over the next few weeks, Zimbabwe will be watching how these appointments play out, whether they deliver fresh energy or simply shuffle the same deck. For now, the stage is set for a new chapter in Zimbabwe's governance, with a cast that blends political veterans, technocrats, and rising public servants, all tasked with one mission: deliver results. This is Zimbabwe Daily News Update, reporting on the major government reshuffle shaking Zimbabwe's civil service to its core. Stay tuned for more updates as the newly appointed officials take office and begin their mandates.